Nathan Judah. I'm here with Mr. Liam Keane, Wolverhampton Wanderers reporter for the Express and Star. Liam, Aviva Stadium, Celtic 1, Wolves 1. What do you make of that? Not the greatest of starts, but I thought Wolves came into the game and fairly positive in the end.
Yeah, I've described it on Twitter as a mixed afternoon, which I think is maybe sit on the fence a little bit. But look, there was large spells of that game, particularly in the first half, where Wolves really were struggling defensively, in particular, again outrunning midfield. Celtic, I think it looks like they're a week ahead in their sort of pre-season schedule, hence starting their season early. And it could tell on the pitch because Wolves were just a little bit off the pace, I felt, and very quick on the counter from Celtic as well, and they were causing Wolves a lot of problems. Wolves had periods in the first and second half, but particularly second half, where they grew into the game, they got the ball down, they created a couple of chances, probably fortunate really to get the equaliser in the end, but the result doesn't really matter. It's more about the performance, and there's still a bit of work to go, I think, for Man United coming up in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, look, I think Lopetegui will understand that the intensity was up from Celtic compared to Wolves, but at the same time he'll be frustrated that there were basic mistakes, especially at the back, weren't they? They were gifting Celtic chances, and they put one of them away, but it could have really been 2, 3, or even 4 at one stage, and we weren't even 20 minutes into the game. Yeah,
well, it's pre-season, so we've got to put it into context that this is going to happen to clubs. Some clubs will look amazing in pre-season and have poor seasons when they go into the start of their league campaign, and the other way around. Let's hope Wolves is the other way around. It's not particularly exciting in pre-season, but you could see the team just going through the motions a little bit, and you would like to think they iron that out in time for the Premier League season. I mean, Wolves haven't often started particularly well. When the league does come round and they grow into that. It just felt like a typical pre-season game for Wolves, whereas the opposition for Celtic, it was more like a league game for them, and that's really the difference, and that's where I felt the performance lacked really.
They made changes. Ryan Nori came on at half-time, and I thought they looked a little bit more balanced, and then you look at, of course, Pedro Neto had to move across, didn't he? Had to swap sides in that first half, came back onto the left when Nori came on and looked more threatening. But really, the last 15-20 minutes of that game was probably the most positive that Wolves looked, and that was with, coincidence, Fabio Silva on the pitch playing higher up, and Matheus Cunha allowed to play in that between midfield and forward line. I think he likes, looked very, very threatening. Put the penalty away. Had a great shot, was an excellent save by Joe Hart at the end, where Wolves could have actually nicked it, but they just looked better with a focal point, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think going through those sort of players individually, Nori I thought actually had a good second half. Started left back, went into left wing, looked comfortable, created some dangerous opportunities for Wolves, and actually put a full back under pressure, which we hadn't really seen from Neto or Bueno before that. So props to him. I thought we actually had a really good second half. Doherty came on, thought made an impact. Obviously won the penalty, and then the man you just mentioned, Fabio Silva. For me, Wolves looked better with him on the pitch than they did without him. He was making runs. He was linking up with players around him, holding the ball up, and the pass to get Doherty through for the penalty was a brilliant eye-of-the-needle pass. So Wolves looked more dangerous with him on the pitch, and that's the only assessment I can take away from his performance, really.
They looked more dangerous with him on the pitch. Ironically, they looked more dangerous with Doc on the pitch. That was old school Doc making those runs into the box, and that's what they brought him back for. That's what they'll want to see. And of course, Nelson Semedo may or may not be the man who gets the first chance against Manchester United in a couple of weeks' time. But that's what Doc can do to teams. And we didn't even know who was going to get on. It was 60, 70 minutes, and you're looking across and going, is he going to get a chance at the Aviva? But he did, and he made a real impact. And I think the Irish fans here gave him a really good reception.
Yeah, they did. It was really nice. Look, he's a really intelligent runner, isn't he? He's not necessarily the quickest footballer you'll find, but he uses his space and his time perfectly, and he's so good at that. The run was brilliant. He got to it just ahead of Hart, penalty, rightly so, and as you say, a brilliant, very cool, calm finish from Cunha. And then just on the Irish players as well. I mean, we've got Ireland under 21 player here, and Joe Hodgson spoke to him after the game as well. Played 90 minutes. A really big moment for him to play in this national stadium, and to play the full game as well. So really pleased for him, and maybe a little bit of a slow start for him, but I think he grew into the game as well.
You're Lopetegui, you've got a couple of games left now. You've got Luton on Wednesday, I believe, Rennes on Saturday, before Manchester United 2 weeks on Monday. He's got to look at that side today and look at those last 15-20 minutes and think, we do look like we're more threatening, we do look like we're more attacking. Do you think that will change his opinion? Do you think his opinion can be changed between now and Manchester United, where he will play a striker ahead of Matheus Cunha? Because the way that they started today with Sarabia, Neto and Cunha himself, you think that probably, if that was the first game of the season, that's where he would go. But it's it's a stark contrast when you do have a player higher up that pitch, isn't it?
I think it wouldn't be without Cunha. I think it'd be with Cunha, to be honest, if he does make that decision.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's a pretty obvious one that you make that call. I mean,
to start or to come on, because
to start purely from a footballing point of view, I think tactically away at Man United, do you save yourself for later in the game, try and keep it tight? No. Stop them from scoring and then build into the game. That's probably the approach he'll take. I would like to think that he can see that Fabio is offering a lot more. We've obviously not seen Kalajic here either,
of course.
And he's getting closer to being able to play at this kind of level, but he's not quite there yet. And that just leaves Wolves a little bit light. And I think you have to start Fabio from a footballing point of view, from a tactical point of view, particularly with the game in the context, away at Old Trafford. I'm not convinced he will. And we still don't really know if Wolves are going to hold on to Fabio at the moment. I think the manager clearly would want to, because he wants to bring players in, not lose more players. The players, left it up in the air, to say the least. And Wolves have got a lot of big decisions to make between now and the end of September, but before then they've got a lot of football games to play, and they've got to try and get it right. You
mentioned Kalajic. Obviously he impressed us, because behind closed doors against the academy, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably see him on Wednesday night to a certain extent, or at least some minutes from Kalajic. But you would say that Silva is ahead of Kalajic at this moment in time in terms of Premier League and first team minutes to start the season.
I think he has to be, purely from a fitness point of view, and obviously with a massive injury like Kalajic suffered. So I think that makes sense. Fabio's got more experience in the Premier League than Kalajic does as well. I think these kind of things play into that factor as well. But I would be really interested to see how that pecking order fills out once Kalajic is ready and he comes in. Maybe he makes an impact. Maybe he scores. A couple of games into him returning. It'd be interesting to see how and when they risk him as a player, and when they can allow him the opportunity to just play without any fear and have that full flow. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him.
Overall, though, obviously our mini pre-season trips come to a close.
Yes.
Porto, Man City, and then finishing here against Celtic. What are your takeaways?
Takeaways are the Wolves aren't quite there yet. I think that's pretty obvious. They've shown good signs, they've had good moments, but I think this is just a natural pre-season. There's been a lot going on in the background. I think the players are just getting up to speed. They're not quite there yet. And as I say, I think being a week further behind than Celtic played a big part today, and that's probably what we saw. But there were still good moments. They've got a good start in 11. They just need depth. And I think starting a striker. Those two things for me would be really key. And if they can eke out some results in beginning of the season in August, then hopefully make some additions in one way or another, then I think they will be fine. They just need to get there, and they just need to get through what is probably going to be a slightly difficult couple of weeks until they're at that level.
Baby Guinness for you tonight?
Might have a couple.
Couple?
It'd be rude not to.
Celtic 1, Wolves 1 for other post-match reaction. Make sure you log on to Express and Star. Got off one for the first season.
That'll do it.
No?
Yeah, got it.
.com!